Hey everyone, today I'm going to walk you through how to complete a 10 by 10 easy Binairo puzzle. So Binairo puzzle is simple. It is just a rectangular grid. I'm going to scroll down a little and you can see that it's a rectangular grid with white and black circles. So the key here is, depending on the size grid, you have to have an even number of white and black in every row and also every column. So this example here is a 6 by 6, so we have to have 3 white and 3 black. Now the next rule that you have to focus on is you cannot have more than 2 in a row of the same color going across or down. So if you have 2 white like we do at the bottom left, we know that the one after the second white has to be black. And then finally, we cannot have a row, 2 rows or 2 columns that repeat the same pattern. Meaning if we have a row that alternates white and black all the way across, we cannot have a second row that alternates white or black all the way across. So each pattern for each row and column does have to be unique. So I'm going to go back up to the top here. I'm going to go ahead and select 10 by 10 easy Binairo. And we'll walk through and I will kind of go over the strategy that I use to solve a puzzle like this. So I'm going to go ahead and click Start Over to just reset the puzzle. Before we jump into the puzzle itself, I'll show you a couple of settings. If you click on the magnifying glass, this allows you to zoom in or out so you can get the screen to be, zoomed in exactly as you want. I'm on a mobile device, so I'm just going to be clicking on the different cells you'll see as we go along. Next to the magnifying glass is the settings icon. If you click on that, there's a few settings I will tell you to set. You can go through, play around with it, figure out if you want to use other settings or more settings. But for myself, I find that this combination of settings is the easiest way to solve a puzzle. So first is that auto submit. So if you have that set, once you successfully solve the puzzle, the computer itself will automatically refresh and say, congratulations, you've completed in a time of whatever your time is. If you do not have that set, you would actually have to go click done, and then the puzzle would tell you whether you're correct or not. If you're not correct, it will tell you, congrats, you have 40 remaining or 40 completed so far, or you have some sort of error in the puzzle. But by auto submit, once you get it correct, it will just automatically tell you and stop the clock. About halfway down, there's a few highlight boxes I have checked. Highlight 3 in a row of the same color. So this is what I was mentioning before. You cannot have 3 circles in a row of the same color. If you do, it will highlight that with a red outline, and I'll show you that in a minute. So it just easily indicates for you to easily see where you have an error. Highlight more than allowed in the same color. So on a 10 by 10, you have to have 5 black and 5 white. So as you're going through, when you're doing the puzzle, sometimes it's easy to not quite remember how many of each color you have. If you happen to click on a 6th cell that you have as black, it will highlight that to let you know that you have too many of the same color. Highlight duplicate rows, columns. This is the last rule that I mentioned. You cannot repeat a pattern across a row or a column. If you do that, it actually highlights the whole row or column that's an error to easily let you know where the problem is. And I will warn you, those are the hardest issues to solve. A little further down, show counters, count remaining. So if we turn the counters off, take a look at the grid below. You'll see that the numbers go away. So if you do not have your counters on, you basically have to keep track of how many, black and white you have. By having the counters on, just makes it a little easier for you. So if you look at the 4th row down here, you can see that every circle that is on the board that has a little kind of dot in the middle of the circle is the correct placement. This is what the puzzle gives you to start with. So over to the right, you see the 4th row, the 4, then the pipe symbol and 2. That tells you, because, again, under show counters, I have count remaining. It's telling me first the 4 is indicating how many black circles I need to put on the board for that row, and the 2 is how many white. So it's black and then white. And as you enter, put your different circles on the board, that counter will go down, and you can use that to help you determine what you have left and what you might place where. So when you get down to, 1 or 2 circles left on a row or column, that really comes in handy because it might tell you exactly what you need. So we'll take a look at that. Again, there's more settings, but the ones that I have highlighted here I feel are the most important. So I'll go ahead and click that again to just get rid of it. So now we can look at actually completing the puzzle. So I'll go through, a few steps that I take to solve these puzzles. Again, everything that starts on the board with the little dot is what it should be in that cell, and it cannot be changed. So you're going to start working off of this based on what shows up here. So I'm on a mobile. If you click on any cell, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit because it's very easy to click on the wrong cell. But the good news is when you click on the cell, the first time you click it, it's going to be put in a black circle. If you click it again, it changes the black one to white. And if you click it one additional time, it'll get rid of the circle entirely. So I'm going to illustrate that at the top right, just for an example. So I click, it's black. And you can also see the counter change, right? So over to the right, that was 4 and 4. Now it changes to 3 and 4. So I'm going to click it again. It's going to turn to white. And you're going to see that counter change from 4 to 3 now. I'm going to click it one more time to remove it. Now it's 4, 4. So that shows you what you have to do to actually place the circle on the board. And again, it is very easy to accidentally click in the wrong cell. Just remember, keep clicking to cycle through, and you can eventually remove it. So to start diving into this puzzle, first thing we're going to do is look for any circles in a row of the same color or column. So we'll just start by over here in the kind of over to the right, the column that has 4 black circles. We see the top 2 are black. So we know that the one on top of it and below it both have to be white because we cannot have 3 black in a row. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it once. This is an example of that highlight error where now 3 black, we can't have it. So it highlights that in red, knowing that we have an issue. So if we click it again, it turns into white. I know that has to be white, so that's correct. And I'm going to do the same thing to the one below it. That has to be white. That is correct. Now at the bottom, we can see that we have 4 cells open in this column. One of them has to be white. I'm sorry, one of them has to be black and 3 have to be white. There is nothing else in this column that is clear cut as to what it should be right now. So we're going to focus on something else right now. So I don't remember if I've mentioned it yet, but you should never get to a point on these puzzles where you are guessing what it should be. It's not a coin flip. If you're entering the puzzle correctly, you will always end up, based on your answer, with a clear option of what the next cell that you need to enter should be. So you should never get to a point where, it's not clear. It could go either way. It's not a puzzle like that. There is one set pattern, one set answer for this puzzle. So now what we can do is we can look, okay, well, there's a lot of other 2 colors in a row. So let's tackle that first, right? So right over in the far right-hand corner, there's 2 whites. So right to the left of that has to be a black. We click that. That makes 2 blacks. Right to the left of that has to be a white. So I'm going to double click that one. And now you can see that we have a few more filled in. So we have the same thing down a little bit further below. 2 blacks in a row. I'm going to go ahead and put a white on either end of it. Bottom right-hand corner, 2 white circles. I'm going to go ahead and add the black. Over in the 5th column, I'm going to add the white to the end of the 2 black. And then add the black on either side of the white there. And then up toward the top left, we have one more that is 2 white, so we add the black. So that takes care of all of the ones that are already set up as double. Now, the other thing that you can look at is if we have 2 cells of the same color with a blank cell in between, again, you know it has to be the opposite color. So up here at the top left, we have the 2 white with a blank in between. That has to be black, because if we put a white here, I'll do it just to show you, it gives us that error. We can't have 3 white. So we put a black, and now that leads us to being able to put a white right to the right of it. And I had missed one here. So we have down the bottom row, we actually have 3 whites that we can put in, because all 4 of those blacks are, we know they are correct because they were originally included when the puzzle opened. So we're just going to go ahead and put a white in between each one. So you notice as we go along, it leads us, this is what I was saying before, it leads us to clearly having an opportunity and knowing what we need to put into those other cells. So white space white, that has to be black. And then the 2 black next to each other on top of that, we have to have white on each side of those. And now here's where the counters actually come in as well. So you can see at the bottom, about halfway across, we have 4 over a 0. So 0 lets us know that we have all of one of the colors set. So the 0 means that we already have all 5 white. We are good for that. We can now enter the rest of the ones. We have 4 black. We'll go ahead and just put those in. And then it puts a check mark on that column. So that column's done. We can take a look at the puzzle, and we clearly have a few other options. So in the 4th row, we're going to put the white on either side of those dual black. The next row down, we have black space black. We'll put white, then follow those up because we have the 2 in a row. Over here, we have a bunch of zeros already on the counter. So I'm just going to go through and fill those. So the 3rd row, we know that it's showing a 1. This one has to be white. That's checked off. The row below that, only thing that's left for that are 2 black. So two rows below that, all we have left is white, so we can go ahead and fill that in. And now we'll look at the columns. We have 3 black, 2 white. Okay, so now we have to take a look at the puzzle and see what other things are jumping out at us. So first, very top row, we now end up with 2 white in a row based on the various moves that we've already made. So we'll add the blacks to the end of that. Then we'll add a white to the top. 2nd row, we have the blank space in between the 2 black circles. We add a white. And that, by adding that white, now we know we only have 1 cell left in the 5th column, and that has to be a white. We can enter that. Now we keep looking. So 3rd column, we have empty in between 2 whites at the top, so we'll put the black, the corresponding white circle next to that. And again, you just kind of, as you keep making these moves, you just kind of keep looking to see where you can make a move. So 1st column, another one that is clear is right here, kind of mid, halfway down. That one has to be black. Keep taking a look. Now that 1st column, all that's left are 2 white circles. We'll put those in. 2nd to last row, 2 black circles. 3rd column, at the bottom we have the 2 black circles, so we'll put a white. Then we have the space in between the 2 white, so that has to be black. Only 1 cell left, that has to be white. Go back down, 4th from the bottom. Now we have those 2 black cells in a row. We'll make the one to the left of that white. 2nd column, 2 0, so those both have to be black. Top row, 0 2, the last 2 have to be white. Right to the left of that, there is black. So all 3 actually in row 2 are clear as to what they need to be. It's going to be the opposite of the ones that sandwich them. So we got a white here, and then 2 black. That row is done. And then we keep looking. So, okay, last column, we get a white one there. Then all that's left are two black ones, a white one here. And then these both have to be white. These both have to be black. White one here, black one here, white one here, black one here. And you can see it solves automatically because we have that auto submit. So when you are ready to do the puzzle, hopefully this helps you with kind of the strategy behind it. There are different levels. There's the 6x6. I'd probably start with that. That is a very simple one, especially if you follow kind of that logic as to how to solve. You can move on to the 8x8, and then finally the 10x10. And if you want to go crazy, they have, harder, more squares, and they have easy hard. But the challenge that you're going to do is going to be the 10x10 easy. So I would practice on some of those. So you would take a screenshot of this whole thing showing the completed puzzle, and then at the top you have solved the puzzle. Hopefully this was helpful. Good luck.